So the last thing that I have to say that may not be as easy for everyone, which is why I put everything else before it, is to speak on your truth and to take opportunities to speak your values instead of shying away from those values because you feel like nobody else will align with you or somebody's like, ugh, she's vegan, right? Maybe not taking every single opportunity to mention it and bring it up, because that is a stereotype that like I tried to debunk. I mean, it kind of gets on my nerves, but I can see why people are like, well, you're always talking about it, right? But taking those opportunities when people ask you like, oh, well, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to this vegan event that blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, you're vegan? Yeah. Or, you know, like, what's that you're eating? And you're like, oh, you describe it. And, you know, maybe they'll like make a comment how there's no meat or some shit like that. You can be like, oh yeah, I'm vegan. Or, you know, if somebody offers you some yogurt, you can be like, no, thank you. You know, and if you're comfortable being like, I'm vegan, right? But also, most importantly, I think it's more important in certain environments where maybe not even saying I'm vegan, but speaking the vegan message, speaking in line with the vegan message, when you have the opportunity to just go along with the masses means a lot, because sometimes we miss out on opportunities to collaborate by not speaking up because we really don't know who else in the room would be willing to work with us. Like maybe they're not vegan, but they have like ideas for decolonization, right? And they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that this even goes to like I didn't know you had a nonprofit that works toward that. Like I'm an individual who's been looking to get into that work. Like, are you looking for a like board members or something like that? You know, it's really important to, my bad, I ran out of storage there. But yeah, I was just saying, speak up for what you believe in. You know, maybe not taking every opportunity to talk about it, but when you are given that space where you could either shy away or you could stand firmly, you know, not necessarily dragging it out too far, but you could say like, yes, like I align with this value. You know, take that opportunity, because there could be somebody across the room who could be inspired, who is like, you know, I've never thought about that, but I want to challenge myself to learn more. And I also have some things to tell you, like, what do you think about this? Because those moments are really important when it comes to activism, like collaboration. With that being said, the final point, I know that I said that would be my final point, but the last point would be to be generally open to hear different approaches to activism, different approaches to the end goal that we're working towards. Like decolonization is like what I'm focused on the most. So it's like if an activist or an organizer comes up and they, for example, they don't agree with veganism, they don't really understand it, and they don't want to incorporate it into their activism, still taking that opportunity to listen and to be truly like honestly open to what they have to say and open to incorporating their approach into mine, and to like lending compassion for the reason why they may not be willing to like accept veganism or whatever, but also like just speaking my truth, not trying to convince them of anything, but being open to their truth and also staying true to mine. But you know, when it comes to vegan activism, when you are getting used to being the only vegan in your area, the only person in your circle who speaks on behalf of vegan message, be open to the different ways that the vegan message can be relayed, but also shedding insight on, I know for me, one thing that I always have to check is like when I'm talking to people who are more in tune with like mainstream white veganism, I kind of have to shed perspective on why that approach may not work for somebody who is within a marginalized or oppressed identity within this colonized society, or who is within multiple of those identities, you know, because it's like, it's kind of like, I made a video on this once, but when white vegans are like, imagine if we were tied up in I don't really like this like outright speaking on whatever happens to dairy cows, because we don't know who has been through that in real life. And that's just like, that's all I needed to say. Because it's like, you know, being like, well, how would you feel if this was done to you? It's like, who's to say that hasn't been done to me before on a systemic basis for profit? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically all that I had to say. Honestly, you can begin your vegan activism like at any point in your life. It just begins with an intention and kind of strengthening what you believe in, so that when you're engaging with other people, it doesn't tamper with your beliefs. Because if you get too wrapped up, you have to understand why it is that you are vegan and why it is that you feel as though vegan activism is important to your core. Because we do not live in a vegan world, meaning that everything is non-vegan. So if the smallest thing, if somebody says like, well, you know, if we stopped eating cows, where would they all go? And you're actually thinking like, oh no, where would they go? It's not like, you know what I mean? It's like you have to like kind of, it helps to be connecting with other vegans and to learn how to answer those questions and to learn like what battles are worth fighting, because there are a lot of battles to fight, but also understanding where you fit into this collective battle, because a lot of new vegans go vegan and they're like, ah, like starting from scratch, when it's like there's a lot of vegans who have been vegan for like 10-15 years who can tell you like what doesn't work, who can tell you like what has been debunked, who can answer those simple ass questions that people ask you that they think is going to shake up your whole day, but it's like it's not even that serious. And at the same time, if you really did care about those questions, you could do your research instead of just like titillating, you know, with me. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. How do I close this? Thank you very much for watching. If you have watched to this point, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Instagram is Black Feminist Vegan. Twitter is the Black Femme Veg. And I have a Patreon, so you can support me on Patreon. The link is below. Also, Decolonize, a Knowledge and Skillshare Unconference is coming to DC October 27th and 28th. So please sign up. It is free, and we are really excited to connect with people and hear from people. So that's all I have today. Thank you so much. This is so awkward. A good friend of mine once said, it's only awkward if you make it awkward. And that's facts.